So I am really thrilled to be here. I'm Colin Seale, and I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm so fired up to be here. And I want to start by talking about really what this is. A lot of times graduations are referred to as commencement ceremonies. And it's kind of weird because commencement means to begin something. And here you are feeling like you just celebrated the end of something. But I want to talk to you really about how this truly is your beginning. And if it's all right with you all, I'd like to kind of share a little bit about my story, how I got to this place, and maybe there could be a couple of lessons that I can give you that you could take on and bring with you, all right? So let's start with this. There's this crazy case that we all have to learn in law school. It's a really kind of odd case. Now, let me tell you what happens in this case. There's a teacher. No. There's a hunter that's chasing out this fox someplace in New York. Hunter's looking after this fox, trying to get this fox and shoot this fox. The fox gets away from him. Now there's a teacher that's walking home from school. And the teacher sees the fox. For some reason, the teacher is strapped with a gun, and he shoots the fox, and he throws the fox on his shoulder. And then the hunter is like, hold up, that's my fox. And this becomes a really big problem. A huge lawsuit ensues over a fox. There's like a whole bunch of foxes in the woods and the forest, but for some reason they're fighting over this one fox. And what the court had to decide, how and when does something become your property? How and when does something become yours? And I thought, when we thought about your future, when we talk about this beginning, I'm like, yeah, you have this future, but how do you own this future? How do you actually seize this moment to make sure that it's yours? And I'm going to give you today kind of a 3-point plan to getting to that place, all right? I'm going to start with this first piece, which is loving yourself. I need you all to make sure you love yourself. And let me explain kind of where this comes from. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn's always in the house, no matter where you're at, right? So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and my mom raised us on her own. We did not have a lot of money at all. My father was locked up for selling drugs for 10 years, from the time I was 11 years old to the time I was 21. So my father was not at this graduation, he was not at my middle school anything, he just was not around. For 5 of those years I didn't even know if he was dead or alive. That was my dad. And I remember this feeling of constant shame that I didn't really live in a nice place. My house was like pretty dirty. We felt like there was never enough room for anything. So when I got to college, it's like, please don't come to my house. That's embarrassing. Please don't ask me about my story because I'm going to lie about it. Because I am so ashamed of who I was. And I'm not sure at what point it clicked for me. But I realized that a lot of why I ended up being in the place that I am, where I was able to get this excellent education and go to Syracuse University and become student body president and then get... Let me actually explain this to you, because you might not know about this, okay? I got accepted to a master's program in public administration at the top school in the country for public administration. But I didn't just get accepted, I got a full ride. But I didn't just get a full ride. They were going to give me $20,000 on top of that just to go to school and not have to do a job on the side. That was what I was given because of where I was at. And I don't know what hit me at that point. It was like a bolt of lightning. I was like, wait a minute. Kids that grew up like I did in Brooklyn, New York, to a single parent family, to a dad that's in jail for selling drugs, typically don't get these types of excellent opportunities. And in fact, I was this exception to the rule. The rule that said that where you were born, how much money your parents made, what neighborhood you grew up in, was going to depend what your outcomes were going to be in life. And I was like, that's it. I can't do this. I actually love myself, and I want to make sure that other kids that are growing up like me can get those same kind of opportunities that I did. So at a point where it would have made perfect sense to say yes to this offer, I said no. And I said, actually, before I do any of this, I need to go be a teacher. I need to make sure that I'm able to give back. I need to make sure that I am able to create a world where stories like mine are no longer exceptions to the rule, but all kids can actually be exceptions. So I want to talk to you about what that process involves of like loving yourself, owning these things. I realized that when I was honest about my story, there were young people that said, me too. I've been there. I understand what that's like. My parents don't all have it together. We don't have a whole lot of money. We don't have a lot of resources, but now I have your story to help me see that might be possible. The second piece I want to tell you is that when you love yourself, you realize you are now the kind of person that has something to lose. You actually have this future that you're seizing for yourself. And I want to give you a story to make you understand what happens when you have something to lose. This is a really important story. I want you to pay attention, okay? After I graduated, for some reason, I went back to the graduation at Syracuse University the year after I graduated to see some friends graduate. And there was this guy. I shouldn't say that he was a guy. He was a beast. He was like a huge dude. He could have been on the football team. He was at least twice my size. And he was clearly very intoxicated. He was under the influence of something, I don't know what he was doing. But he was cursing out random people on the street. You know, then he looks at me and he says, and this is a guy I knew a little bit. He says, you over here judging people and you don't even know what they've been through. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what you're talking about. I don't have any problems with you. And he's like, oh, you think you're a cool guy? So he takes me and he chokes me and he throws me up against a wall. Okay? My instincts kicked in. I gave him a little headbutt in the nose, and that part right there that always kind of like makes somebody kind of lose their bearing. And I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm making sure I'm not going to hang out with this person tonight, and I'm long gone. Later that evening, I walk out of some place, and he pops out of nowhere. And he's like, hey, Colin, what's up? And I'm like, hey, man, I just want to tell you, I'm not sure what happened earlier. There might have been a real confusion. I don't have any problems with you. Actually, that's what I thought I was going to say. He smacked me in the face before I had one word come out of my mouth. Now, here's what I need you to understand. I told you already, this was a huge football player kind of dude. He smacked me in the face. He could have knocked me out with one punch, without a question. But he smacked me in the face. Why would he smack me in the face? Why is he smacking me in the face? He is trying to get me out of my element. At this point, I have a job. I am teaching kids in Washington, D.C. I need to report to work on Monday. I can't be messing around in the streets of Syracuse, fighting in the street on a Saturday night, because I will most certainly be in the jail on that Saturday night. And I will be there until that Monday morning. And it's a pretty awkward call to your principal to say, hey, I'm not going to be at school on Monday because I got into a fight on the street because this guy smacked me and I need to show how tough I was. And I have to tell you, it was a really challenging situation. How many of you would have had a tough time standing there after somebody smacked you and you didn't really know what to do? How many of you have a tough time with that? Someone smacks you in the face in front of all these people. It's like, what are you going to do at this point? But I realized at this point, the kind of person that's going on the street, clearly intoxicated, cursing out a bunch of random people, trying to fight in the middle of the street, a busy street, doesn't have anything to lose. You all are graduates. You all are moving on to great things in your life. You all have this future. So to protect that future, to make it yours, you have to be able to make a decision in those moments when everything around you, your gut instinct is saying, I gotta fight, I gotta do something. And you gotta be smarter than that. You gotta be ahead of that. So I stood there, and I just had been smacked, and everybody's looking around. And here's what happens. This really big guy, this is exactly what he does. He throws off his jacket, and he's like this. And I'm looking like, what in the world is this guy doing? So I'm like, look, I understand you just smacked me. I don't want to fight. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to fight. I need to go to school on Monday, teach kids, and I just want to get out of here, no problems. At least that's what I wanted to say, but he smacked me again. And at that point, all these people came and kind of broke the whole thing up, but I left with my own personal sense of dignity intact, my own personal sense of respect intact. And I didn't care that there might have been some people whispering of like, yo, Colin is a punk. Like, Colin just sat there and got smacked twice. All I thought is like, he's not getting me into this. He's not gonna bring me down to his level. That's not gonna be me. That's not ever going to be me. I have too much to lose to be messing around with some nonsense like that. And I had to love myself to get to that point where I can say, I don't care what y'all want to say about me, because guess who's not going to bail me out? You. Guess who's not going to pay my rent when I lose my job? You. So I'm going to make sure I make my decision for me. You can clap for that. That's cool. So loving yourself is super important. I also want to talk to you about the importance of embracing the struggle. Hashtag the struggle is real. Y'all know about that? You know about the hashtag the struggle is real? Let me tell you something about the struggle. When I got to college, you might have heard me say I was a computer science major. Well, the school I went to in the Bronx, New York, for whatever reason, I never did any computer programming. I never learned how to code. So I walked into this lab, and it's our first lab. It's like the most easy, basic sort of coding project ever. So I walk in, there might be 30 people that are in this lab with me, okay? And half of the kids in the class get in, and they start laughing about how easy this assignment is. And I'm like, oh, I guess this is supposed to be easy. So I'm taking a look at the paper, I'm looking at the computer screen, and I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. 5 minutes later, half of the class just walks out because they're all done. Then I'm like, all right, you know what, man? Brooklyn all day, I got this, right? So I'm sitting here struggling, I'm looking down at the paper, looking at the computer screen, down the paper, looking at the computer screen. Next thing you know, it's like 30 minutes into the lab. Almost everyone is cleared out, okay? And I'm like, all right, I gotta do this. I need to figure this out. I'm a pretty smart guy. And I look around and I realize there's nobody there in the lab except for me and the TA. The TA is a person that helps out the professor. And the TA walks up to me with my blank screen and he's like, hey, are you finished? And I looked at my paper and I looked at my blank screen and I decided at that moment, yep, all done here. And that was a moment where I was so close to dropping out of school. I remember feeling like such a loser, such a failure. I couldn't get the most basic assignment done. I went back to my dorm, I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I can't do this. It's too hard. Everyone knows what they're doing and I don't. I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here. I can't do it. And my mother at that moment gave me a very interesting piece of advice. You have to. You have to. And I realized when she said you have to, what she was saying was, I I was the guy. I was the one that was supposed to be the one that goes to college and makes sure that he gets the good grades and he can have that bright future. I was the one that did so well in middle school and worked really hard to pick up my grades after I struggled in high school. I was the one. I was the one that we were counting on to help break cycles of poverty in our community. I was the one. I had this talent. I just had to figure out how I was going to do it, because I knew I had to. So when I talk about embracing the struggle, I want to actually make sure I particularly talk about this with you all. I know that a lot of you are very eager, you're very enthusiastic, you'd like to go out there and try to earn the best grades possible. But what do you do when that doesn't happen? What do you do when you get an unexpected failure on something? And something seems more challenging than you think it's going to be. College is almost certainly going to be that challenge. You get to certain points in your career, you're certainly going to have those challenges. What you need to do is embrace the struggle. Have the humility to say, you know what? I don't know, but I don't care. Let me explain something to you. There's a group of people in this country that are so privileged that it never bothers them that they are not qualified to do what they're doing. They walk around unqualified to do everything, and they just keep on applying for more promotions that they are not qualified to do more things that they're not qualified to do, and they don't care. They don't care. We care. We say, I'm not really sure I'm the right person for this. I haven't had the right amount of years of experience for that. No. You have to embrace the struggle. Put yourself in that situation and say, I am going to do anything that's necessary to succeed. What I did in this case, I basically camped out in my professor's office. I was there almost every single day after class, figuring out, what did you just talk about for the last hour and a half? Because all of it seemed like it was another language, so please break it down. Please help me out. Please help me out. I don't know. Help me out. Help me out. Please, I need some help. Friend, can you give me some tutoring on this? I don't really know how to do this. So I embraced the struggle. I didn't care if people thought that I was stupid. I would have been stupider to not get the help. Yeah. Okay? So really important that you find a way to embrace the struggle. And here is the last piece I want to talk to you about. And it might seem a little bit weird. I need you to be unrealistic. Be completely unrealistic. There's a problem. There's a problem with a lot of our communities where we grow up where we don't have a lot of money. Because we define success in very interesting ways. My mother reached the height of her pride for me as a son when I went to law school, and I just beasted in law school. Law school was mine. Like I did so great in law school. I had a goal when I started. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be #1 in my class. And this was actually when I was teaching full-time, going to law school at the night, and studying every single weekend. But I'm going to be #1 in my class. So the first year I got our grades back, got our rankings, I was #1. Second year we got our rankings, #1. Third year we got our rankings, #1. And when I graduated in December, I was #1. And then some people try to hate on the game, and then in May they took some easy classes, so I got bumped down to #4. #4 is pretty okay. Okay? Graduated #4 in my law class. And when I graduated #4, what happens is these big law firms come and they start saying, hey, we're going to pay you a whole lot of money. A whole lot of money. And I was sitting there, I'm like, so you mean to tell me that you're going to pay me in 10 weeks what I would make in 7 months as a teacher? Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do that. You're going to triple my salary? So at a point where I'm making $120,000 a year plus bonuses, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, I actually have a much bigger dream than this. This is not me being successful. This is me fitting into this little definition of what success might look like. And I want to challenge you on this. Some of us might say, hey, you've made it. You are now an engineer. You are now an architect. You are now a lawyer. You are now a doctor. Let me challenge you to be a little bit more unrealistic. It's already unrealistic that y'all are graduating from high school. It's already unrealistic that so many of you are going to be going to college. Why not go all the way with the unrealism? Why not say, maybe instead of being the lawyer, I can own the law firm. Instead of being the architect, I can own the architecture firm. Instead of being the engineer, I can own the engineering firm. When I realized that I wanted to dedicate my life to changing the world so that every kid like me has a chance to be exceptional, I realized I can actually do something that's so powerful it can change the world. I literally believe that I have the power to change the world. So I designed this company called thinkLaw. I wrote all these cases and lessons based off of real life cases, and within 6 months, I had it in 14 different schools in Las Vegas. Over 1,000 kids were using it. And for the upcoming school year, we are going to be in 30 schools at least, serving over 5,000 kids in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, in Washington, D.C., in New York City, in Phoenix, in Las Vegas, and hopefully right here in Oakland as well. But it matters that I made it a point to be unrealistic. The only person that's holding you back is you. And I do not want you to ever get into the habit of thinking small. There are milestones. Of course, it's to be celebrated if you get the job of your dreams. But the job of your dreams is not the power. You really need to think about ways that you can start to have the power. So you're not just sitting there trying to have somebody's job, but you have the power to create jobs for other people, for your own community, to come back and bring these things back. So there is opportunity for people that come after you. Power for us is a scary thing. Power is usually done to us. We have a negative relationship too often with power. But let me explain something to you. Power is a neutral concept. Okay, it's a neutral concept. It's what we do with that power. It's what we do with that power that's going to determine what our outcomes are going to be. So, just to step back, just to recap, the 3 things I really want you to focus on is loving yourself, owning your stories, erasing that shame, and using that as your motivation. Embracing the struggle. When stuff gets rough, you get even tougher with it, okay? And the last piece, you need to make sure you're unrealistic. You can be so outrageously successful, so do not limit what that can be for yourself. And I want to close with this last piece. There is probably a lot of you right now, after this ceremony, people are going to start talking to you and they say, what do you want to do when you grow up? How many times have you been asked this in the last couple of weeks? All the time, okay? Let me start to help you out with this. And parents, families, let me help you out with this too. Stop asking that question. It's the wrong question. It's the wrong question. And this isn't an original thought. This is not an original thought, okay? But it's the wrong question. What you really should be asking kids, what you really should be asking these leaders, these future people that are going to take over our world is, what problem do you want to solve? What problem do you care about? What are you passionate about? Because whatever those problems are, whatever those passions are, whatever it is that you actually care about, those are going to be the things that you're going to dedicate your life to. You'll work backwards. You'll figure out what degree you might need to do that, what skills you might need to do that, and you'll get those skills, you'll get those degrees, and you'll bring it back, and you'll work on that passion. That's what matters. That's the questions you need to be asking. So class of 2016, congratulations. This is your commencement. Let's begin.